Good morning, everyone. This is Elsa De Silva from Mumbai, India. I'm locked down in my home, like many of you. And to stay positive, I decided to do this series called Daily Reflections during COVID 19, where I bring in one of my friends, either through one of the networks that I'm part of, or friends of mine from my corporate and my previous work life. And we try to, figure out what each one is going through, how they're coping, what are they looking forward to, because this is unprecedented. We've heard this word used so often, but honestly, no one knows how long the lockdown is going to last. What is in store for us in the future? We are all worried about our work, etc. And how do you stay sane and positive? So, to help us think through that, I try to bring on interesting guests. So today with me, I have Lijo Chacko. He's from my Bosch alumni network. He's an ex-Indian Navy guy, a submariner, and he's also worked a lot with corporates and with the CSR funding community. He's helped a lot of NGOs. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself. So, Lijo, welcome, and could you please share a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Soon after my 12th, I joined the Indian Navy through the Naval Academy and then went to the Naval College of Engineering. Served on one ship, but my interest was to become a submariner. So became a submariner, operated about 6 Russian attack submarines. Was part of the team which was constructing the first nuclear submarine of India. Post my naval career, I decided to be in the social space, wanted to be in this social space physically for a very long time. Being in the defense, there are restrictions, but soon after all those restrictions were over, I came into the social space. I've been supporting about 8 to 9 NGOs over the past 6 to 7 years. Some of the support has been through the organizations that I also helped run. And if somebody whom I wanted to support did not follow the charter of the organization that I work with, I would support them in my individual capacity, whether it was through funds or leveraging other networks that I have. Yeah, that's the brief intro.
So, Lijo, how are you coping during COVID-19?
I've not yet felt any stress. Yeah, I'm based in Bangalore. I've not yet felt any stress so far. I think being a submariner, I've been for long periods, several weeks at a stretch underwater, cut off from the general world, without any social media, without any much of entertainment, without any much place to move around. The submarine is a 75-meter long steel tube, and there is no way you can connect and talk to people other than your mates, which come to about 60. So I know what happens, and not much physical activity either. Like now, I like to be physically very active, but we have gone for protracted periods of time, several weeks at a stretch. Yeah, and I think another thing is that I think my body, the metabolism goes down. I eat less. And many people may be envious. In the last couple of weeks, I've already lost 2 kgs. Wow. So I'm genetically kind of fortunate.
Yeah, somebody says we should weigh ourselves before COVID and then weigh ourselves after COVID, because we are going to eat much more whilst we are locked down. But I wanted to draw parallels, so being on a submarine and being locked down, I mean, being in a metal tube and being in your home, it's quite different. But nevertheless, did you when you were training to be a submariner, what was it like? Because we'd like to understand. Did you take to it naturally? Was it difficult? How do you train for something like isolation?
Yeah. I think for me, it was quite natural. I didn't find any great difficulty, but then that could be because I really aspired to be a submariner. Even before I joined the Navy, I knew that I wanted to be a submariner. But yes, not everybody can fit into that. You need to have a kind of a mental disposition to be locked down and be in pressure chambers, being subjected to that kind of stuff. And during the training, that is, we have 6 months of normal training in the submarine school in Visakhapatnam, and after that, we are put onto a submarine for 6 months as something like an OJT. At that time, the commanding officer, the heads of department, people are watching you, seeing whether you are naturally inclined to be in such kind of an environment. We have had people who would go under the hatch of the submarine. Once you're dived, the person is looking at the hatch, or the person constantly and always remembers that you've got water all around. So if that kind of fear is constantly working on your mind, on your brain, then you will not be able to focus on to the things that you actually got to do. And if you make mistakes, other people can die. So this is a totally different ball game. So much so that
A huge responsibility, isn't it?
yeah, not only do you need to know your own domain, you need to know a little bit of other people's domain also. So we study all the subjects, and the pass percentages of some of the subjects are very high, to the tune of 90%. And I need to know a little bit of communication. I need to know a little bit of anti-submarine warfare and things like, though I am a mechanical engineer. So we would need to step into each other's shoes in case of an emergency. And so professionalism becomes ingrained in you, and you can't use the normal jugaad funda there. and like since you asked about that specific thing of whether everybody is naturally inclined to be there, no. I've had a friend of mine who could not bear to wear that escape suit. So it's like the cosmonaut suit. So he would tear it off him. So because you can be claustrophobic, right? We have had infantry people from the army coming to visit submarines and coming out of it and then saying, "Phew, infantry is much easier." Okay, so
I can imagine, I went on a submarine visit in Germany once, and it's really, really cramped up and tiny. I don't know how 60 people can fit in over there, but really,
yeah,
it's as though, like you think an aircraft is claustrophobic for many people, but the submarine is even more cramped up, I would say. But when we were talking earlier, you were sharing about teamwork and how the interdependency of each one on that team to get through the period. Can you share a little bit about it? Because we, in this COVID-19 scenario, are pretty much interdependent on each other. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is to keep everybody else's morale high as well as mine. Take for example, why do we stay at home? Why are we asked to stay at home? So that we don't spread the virus, and that the ones on the front line can do their job peacefully. So can you share a little bit about the interdependency and teamwork that you experienced as a submariner?
yeah. I'll say specific things of a submarine and then later try to explain something else. Yeah. See, if I don't maintain my engines properly to the best of efficiencies, when we come up to a certain depth called as a periscope depth to charge batteries, I will take more time to charge the batteries. And when the submarine is at periscope depth, it's the most vulnerable period of its operation time. You may be in enemy waters, you can be easily, though you cannot be seen, you can be detected. So it is upon me and my department to see that I am holding myself to the highest standards. That is one part. Next, how do I see that I maintain other people's equipment also, which is in my compartment or which falls under my purview? It may not really be a a fire control radar or an electrical equipment. But I can't shun responsibility and say that this is not under my specific charter. But if I see oil dripping onto an electrical cable, even if the cable is perfectly insulated, I would be worried. I will first of all take preventive action to see that it's not happening. Then I will, of course, inform my friend who is electrical engineer and tell that yes, something is going wrong in my department because of which your equipment is getting impacted. Let us now try and solve it. Right? So in this kind of a lockdown, what comes to my mind is that yeah, there is a solitude which is imposed on us externally or self-imposed. We are all matured enough to know. I mean, we know that Constitution was given by us to ourselves, right? So we know that it is in a way it's a self-imposed solitude. But there is a quality to this solitude. I think it is able to kind of expand itself and tend towards solidarity, I would say, maybe solitude to solidarity. So and we are caring for each other. We look at the numbers of COVID cases in each other in the states and even to other countries and say, oh my God, Italy has so many deaths. And that there is a compassion which is developing in us. We care for each other too. So I think in that way, yeah, the submarine life, and I do see parallels from submarine life to the current situation that we are in. And I think we'll come over, we'll overcome all this. I'm not a great fan of Churchill, but I remember one statement that he had made: "When you are in hell, just keep going." Right?
When you are in hell, keep going. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great advice because you don't want to be burned in hell. But
Yeah.
you also did you do base camp Everest or higher? Can you
Hi,
share a
I
little
was.
bit of that? Okay, so can
Yeah.
you share that experience as well? Because not many of us have done that, though it's all on our bucket list for sure.
Yeah, I was part of the Indian Navy's team to climb Everest in 2004, and we chose to climb from the north side, which is the rocky side, the Chinese side, not the Nepal side. And though we had never done it before, we chose to go from that side because Indian Army had already done the south side. So we thought if we are taking up a challenge, let us go full ahead and take up the most difficult thing, jump into the deep end of the pool itself. So yeah, that was in April, May of 2004 that we did. Quite a few accidents that year. 17 people who climbed from that side that year along with us didn't come back. They all died. But we were lucky. We came back without any casualties. Yeah.
So how high did you climb?
I was at 8,300 meters. That is 500 meters short of the summit.
Did you feel terrible that you didn't reach the summit?
Yeah, I did. I did. Yes, of course. But then in mountaineering, it's very clear that it's not going up, which is important, but it is coming down, which is the most important thing. But yeah, I think it's all part of the journey. And I remember, and it's surprising you anyway asked about Everest. And while on Everest, I had always been reading this poem Ithaca, which incidentally also is something which I kept saying that in case I get time, I should read out a few lines from that poem during the session too. So serendipity, I guess.
Do you want to read the lines from the poem?
Yeah, I could. I just chose about 4, 5 of them from different parts, not in continuity.
Sure.
So
That'll
okay,
be
I'll go. As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Then goes on to say, keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for, which means that you don't have to worry. Exam me, you will pass. You will reach, right? So keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. And if you find her poor, Ithaca wouldn't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experiences, you will have understood by then what these Ithakas mean? I just repeat the last two lines. Wise as you will have become, so full of experiences, you would have understood by then what these Ithakas mean.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. And honestly, I'm still reflecting on this line that you just mentioned, that in mountaineering, it's the coming down which is most important, not the climbing up, because we tend to focus a lot on goals, and when we fail to achieve them, we feel so disappointed and disheartened. Take, for example, a lot of young students who commit suicide when they, fail. But in my view, there's always a lesson to be learned, and it's the journey that's most important rather than, looking at one point in your life. So, I mean, we have the benefit of looking back and
Yeah.
reflecting on our lives. But when you're starting off, a lot of my young interns and volunteers watch this daily reflections and have been writing in saying that thank you so much, because indirectly this is like mentorship as well. They're learning from our experiences, and it's so true that we should be present and enjoy the journey. And like you said, it's the coming down which is most important. You're here to talk about that particular journey. 17 others did not make it, so that's something to actually celebrate.
Yeah. And the anxiety of execution may not weigh us down, right? Let things rest lightly on us, and then we will see through all the things that come our way.
And that's a theme that's coming up often. We are very anxious, we are very worried, and we have to learn to be kind to ourselves first before we can be kind to others. We have to forgive ourselves. I think yesterday,
Yeah.
so Papa Sanyal, who's ex-police,
Okay.
ex-director general of police in Uttar Pradesh, she said we have to forgive and we have to be kind to ourselves. So and that's been one of the common themes from all my guests. So thank you again for sharing your experiences. I wanted to ask you, so whilst you're in lockdown mode, you said you're reading a lot, right? And I'm sure you're also planning a lot because you tend to be working on several different projects. Would you like to share with us what's the one that you're most passionate about?
The most passionate thing that I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recently, a few of us have got together to start a political leadership school in Panchkani, held under the organization called Initiators of Change. There are a few of us who have come together who were working on this or who held this idea independently for several years, and one led to the other, and we've all come together. We were all thinking that if it's not enough for us to say that politics is a dirty place, that's what all of us have heard and been told. So if we said that if that is a difficult place to be, then why not go there? And one step further, why not encourage and nurture people who would be fully grounded on ethics and on constitutional values to go and make a mark? So that is the one which is taking quite a bit of my time and energy these days.
And is this for one political party or across the spectrum?
Across the spectrum, yeah, we are politically agnostic. We are not in the political space. Agnostic, no gender bias, no educational qualification constraint. So it's free for anybody who has the will to be there. Yeah, there'll be a certain procedure for selection because we can hold only some 20 to 30 people. So yeah, a small
And
selection.
how can people reach you on this initiative?
Yeah, we are still in the process of drafting the application form. We'll be going live. We'll let the world know through word of mouth, through the net, through various means of publicity, so that all of us, the whole country knows. And the selection process will be region-wise initially. So about 300 people would be selected in different regions. We will go to various regions, and from there we will select about 70 to 80 people who will come to Panchgani to Initiatives of Change to spend about a week with us. There about 17 to 18 senior people from various parts of various sectors will be there, including somebody from who's qualified services selection board member. So we'll bring in an element of 4G selection also to it, and then we will come up to this number of 20 to 30 people. It'll be a fully paid for course, and there will be a honorarium also paid to these candidates, so that there is no worry about what happens to the family, and the family is taken care of.
Wonderful. I do believe there's a great need for some course like this, which will encourage more people to take up politics as a profession. We need to bust the myth that it's a dirty profession. And we need
Yeah.
more able leadership, I would say, in
Yes.
our current political class. Apart from
Yeah.
that, everybody's learning a new skill or reconnecting with their hobbies. What is it that you have either reconnected or picked up during this lockdown period?
Reconnected. Just before lockdown, I had got back onto my skates. So now I'll keep skating inside the house. Roller skates.
Well, I think you need to protect the people around you. Okay, and once this is over, what is it that you're looking forward to? What is the first thing you're going to do once this lockdown is announced? I mean, it's over and done with.
Go out for a long, relaxed run.
Isn't it strange how, we took so much in life for granted, and now that we are in lockdown mode, we are,
Yeah.
really appreciating it's the small things that matter. The walk the walk on the road, the run on the road or in the park, meeting your friends, having a glass of wine. I mean, it's just the simple things that really matter.
Yeah. But this lockdown has also brought a lot of us classmates together, spread all over the world. We are having frequent Zoom calls, laughing, singing our school songs. We are having a lot of fun too. So that way.
So the lockdown need not be emotionally draining. You can change it. You can do what you want with it in a way. You can choose to look at it positively or not. Enjoy the pause, enjoy the moment with your family, reconnect with your friends, stay positive. I'm waking up every morning to do an hour of exercise over Zoom. My Zoom fitness class has been
Yeah.
online, and it really helps. And having this session makes me get up, dress up every single day. Otherwise, it's so easy to stay in your home clothes, night clothes, whatever, and just feel
Yeah.
lethargic. But
Yeah.
have a fixed routine, do things that you enjoy, call up friends, because once you're busy you will not have this time again, right?
Correct. Yeah. And since you mentioned this discipline part, I remember reading one of the freedom fighters who had spent a lot of time in jail. He had written this: small things matter. Dress up, groom yourself, arrange your small, whatever 3-4 things. He had a pencil, an eraser, a comb, or a mirror with him. Arrange all these things, tidy your room. Yeah, do what is needed to be done to keep yourself engaged and sane.
I was reading Omar Abdullah also said during his confinement, his illegal confinement for 7 months, he did the same. He kind of had a routine, fixed routine, and he exercised and exercised and exercised. He says that kept him sane. So have a routine, do things that you love. If it's a hobby, if it's music, if it's singing or craft, do something creative. It really will help you. So on that note, thank you very much, Lijo, for joining
Thank
us.
you. Thank
And I
you,
really
Elsa.
enjoyed listening to your experiences as a submariner as well as climbing Mount Everest. Um, and thank you for sharing that poem. It was really lovely. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Thank you.
Good day.
And join me every day at 10 a.m. Tomorrow I have Pearl Mosquita. She's a dear friend of mine from aviation, but now she has her own interior business. So please do join us. It'll be interesting. Thank you, Lijo.
Thank
Lovely
you.
talking to you.
Bye.
Have a
Bye. Have a good day.